episode 118 of Checkpoint Chat. My name is Alessandro Barbosa, joined as always by Matty Figueroa.
A very sleepy episode of Checkpoint Chat. You and I both look very tired.
I saw you anticipated me starting the episode there. You were waiting for
but
it.
But you didn't DM me. I went... Pss, pss, pss.
Like you were just calling me.
I was just like, yes, God. You can start the episode now. Lupin, this man is starting the episode now. Come gather around. Come hither, children.
Is Lupin Lupin's like the person at a race with the flag? Like go.
He is.
You know, like a green
He's
flag.
the right color as well. He's black and white. So he might as well be a checkered colored cat.
Yeah, but that's the end then. So he should be waved around at the end of the episode.
Yeah. So I'm just watching Martha and Lupin have a little Mexican standoff.
They're having a little scuffle there.
Oh, God. They hate each other so much.
Speaking of Lupin, you recorded a fantastic TikTok of Lupin. Which the timing...
It was planned. It's all planned.
Did you like record the video of Lupin and then overlay the music?
Yeah.
Because I was like, there's no way you planned that.
No, yeah, I had the video ready and then I went and I found a song to just time to that. And of course it was Never Gonna Dance Again.
Fantastic.
The sexiest
Careless
saxophone
whisper
in the world.
It's so good. It's so and Lupin is majestic as fuck, so you matches that song perfectly.
He's like, hey girl.
Yeah. Hey.
What's up?
What are you doing around these parts?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, TikTok, man. What an interesting platform.
Good thing it's not banned, eh? Well, in America, I guess.
Apparently, it was bought out by Walmart. Is that true?
No, so we had Microsoft and Oracle were the two biggest like bidders, and then Microsoft's offer got rejected, and then Oracle's also got rejected, but rejected in the way of like they wanted to own TikTok entirely and now they just like own part of it. It's like a partnership.
Okay.
But what's fascinating is that like TikTok was going to be banned because of like privacy concerns. But now because it's partly owned by an American company, now those concerns aren't a problem anymore.
Of course not.
Seems
it's
like
gone.
complete blackmail. Blackmail to like sell off a portion of the company to an American company. So yeah. Say what you will about that.
Weird times.
Very weird times. I mean, it's kind of a good thing Microsoft didn't blow money on TikTok because, I mean, they now had money to, like, purchase Bethesda.
They just had some billions lying around for...
They're like, damn, we couldn't get TikTok. Guess we'll get Doom.
I guess we'll just buy this company that owns some pretty big IPs. Yeah. But you know what? We'll get to that in news.
we already wrote off the money. We have to use it now.
We just got to burn it. It's that acquisition is just
it's
wild.
Mind-blowing, absolutely mind-blowing. We'll get to it in news, but that is like, yeah, man. I mean, I started off Monday being like, okay, well, you know, we have consoles, we have prices. It seems like things are gonna like taper down a little bit, and then Monday comes along and Microsoft's like, nah, it's fine. We'll just drop. I
mean, it was so weird because what did we had like. We've had week after week of news, basically, like big news. So you think Microsoft's done. Then fresh on Monday, like, nah, fam, look at this.
Nah, they're just like, check this shit out.
Yeah, it was such a casual flex, though. Like, yeah.
It was, and it came out of, like, fucking nowhere. It was bizarre. Yeah.
But we will dive into that in detail a little bit later.
Should we just get going? Because I know we have a lot... There's a lot to discuss. Yeah, there's a lot to discuss. So let's Checkpoint Chat, talk about video games. No preamble this week. Well, less of a preamble this week. Wow, I hit a peak there. I don't know how that happened.
Dude, never too late to peak enough.
Wow. What have you been playing?
My God, I've been playing a lot of Mario this week.
Fantastic.
Not just the 35th anniversary Mario, I'll have you know. I actually... finally sat down and I finished Paper Mario, the Origami King.
Finally. The saga comes to a conclusion.
Yeah, my word. I started this game many, many weeks ago. Ooh, casual monster plug there. You did that into the mic on purpose.
Hell yeah, I did.
So I started this game. When did it come out? Was... I don't know, like 2 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago.
It was
It's been a long time.
End of July.
August, September. Yeah, so it's been more than 2 months ago. That's a long time. I mean,
what is
just
time this year anyway?
What is time? We an inch away from October. What is time this year?
Can you believe it?
So just to recap,
actually, when we record next week, it will be 1st of October.
I know.
No, it'll be the 3rd of October. Never mind.
And then the following week it will be Christmas. That's how time works. After October, it just straight downhill. Don't shake your head at me like I'm the one who makes the rule. So just to recap briefly, Paper Mario: The Origami King is, as the name implies, a game set in that franchise where Mario is just a little paper moustached plumber.
It's a little paper boy.
It's an interesting spin-off franchise because it's not your traditional platforming. They use it as a means to explore other ideas in the Mario universe, I suppose. And in this instance, the premise is that the Paper Kingdom has been taken over by an origami dude named Ollie, who wants to make everything 3D.
His name is Ollie.
It's Ollie.
Ollie. So
Ollie,
he really liked Tony Hawk.
He likes skateboarding, yeah.
Okay.
This is the prequel to Tony Hawk. He basically takes the paper castle to his lair, whatever you want to call it, and in order to get there are 5 streamers you have to get rid of because the castle's wrapped up in these 5 paper streamers.
Ninja, Pokemon, PewDiePie.
I thought about that. I was like, yeah, the whole premise of the game is to get rid of these streamers. I'm like, yeah, who are we gonna get rid of it? Got to get rid of
Nintendo
Dr.
getting so meta.
And that sort of just kicks off your whole journey to go to all these random and fantastic weird places to get rid of streamers. And yeah, the game is just something completely different to what you'd expect from a Mario game. Like I've said, this franchise uses it as a means to explore different ideas. So I don't know. You've played maybe a little bit way back when. I don't think you got stuck into it.
I played a little bit, and I played. I always get confused about the other Paper Mario that I did play because it was a combination of a few. It was, I think, Paper Mario Color Splash.
Maybe. I know I played the one on the Wii, and I don't remember what it was called, but it was the one where it was predominantly set on a 2D plane, but you could, at certain parts, cut out Mario and make him 3D, if that makes sense.
So that was Color Splash.
No, but the one I played is on the
3DS. Yeah. Oh, on the Wii.
Yeah.
Let's see, Paper Mario. I played this one, Paper Mario Sticker Star, which was. No, wait, did I play this? This is out in 2012. I don't think.
I'm confused. This franchise has a lot of spin-offs, and I've only played one of them, but the names are just lost on me.
I know which one I played. It was the combo between. It's Mario and Luigi Paper Jam. So it was the combo between those two franchises. Yes, now I remember.
Yeah.
And that was cool because it was like combining the sort of like RPG elements with the Paper Mario, I guess, the combat. Because when I look at the combat in Origami King, I'm like, oh, that looks familiar.
Is it similar?
It looks similar. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know what you thought of the combat, but I'll just get it out the way. My biggest criticism of this game is the combat. Not that there's anything wrong with it. So the way combat works, you, Mario, are put in the middle of a grid with different segments and I suppose just different segments, if you want to call it that. And enemies are laid out randomly along it. And the whole purpose of the combat is you have a certain number of turns to realign them into either a line or a 2x2 square.
Okay, the combat is very different then.
Is it different? Okay.
Yeah.
So that works very well when you start the game because it's different and it's almost like solving a puzzle each time. You want to line up these enemies and you've only got a fixed number of moves.
How do you line them up? Are you like every turn you're like rotating them? Or?
Yeah, so every turn you've got a fixed number of moves to either like rotate the different segments or move them in a linear fashion. I know I'm explaining that horribly. So you either want to line them up so you can jump along them in a line or put them in a 2x2 square to hit them with a hammer. And that, for the rest of the game, those are your two weapons. So this is where my criticism comes in that when the game starts, that's fine. You know, that's a cool way to do combat. But it never goes past that. For the rest of... So the game took me just under 30 hours to finish. So for the rest of the game, it's just you realigning enemies, and it's really RPG light in the sense that you get different weapons, but all it does, it'll like, if you get a new hammer, for example, you'll do a bit more damage. If you get new shoes, you'll do a bit more damage. There's nothing like in the depth of an RPG system to the degree that, you know, you've got fire shoes or an ice hammer, or you've got elements to worry about, or damage reduction. So it's like very, very paper thin.
Hey, got him.
Like RPG mechanics. But that's really my only criticism of the game, because after 30 hours, it's fun. But every time I enter the combat encounter, I was like, okay, I've got to do this now. It's never like, ooh, I can't wait to do this.
I've seen that as the main criticism, like widespread for the game. So I don't think, I don't think you're the only one going, oh man, this combat sucks.
No, the only time it's variates a bit is during boss fights, which are actually quite interesting in that the bosses always have some sort of, I suppose, mechanic or element to take them down, and you need to figure out what that is. And the board changes in that you're not realigning enemies anymore. It's the same circular board, but now there are arrows all over it and different symbols. And you have to plot out a path for Mario using these arrows. So he runs in a straight line, okay? And then if, say, for example, you start on the top of the board and there's an arrow pointing left. So the moment he hits that arrow, he turns left. Then you need to put arrows in his path to get him to where you want him to be.
Got it, yeah.
And that adds a variation to the combat, which is cool. Interesting. Yeah, the boss fights, I must say, were quite interesting. But I suppose that leads me to the rest of the game, which I think the game is underrated purely because I don't think many people pick it up, because it's Paper Mario. It's not a traditional entry into the Mario franchise. But it's a pity because the game is very charming, very, very creative. Like the writing, I think, is probably its strongest point.
Okay. I've heard it's quite funny.
It's really funny. It's got, like, the only way I can put it is that it's got a lot of heart. It's really, so you accompanied throughout the journey by Ollie's sister Olivia, and I just think it was
Ollie
such a breath
Olivia. Okay.
Ollie and Olivia. I just think it was a breath of fresh air having this person accompany you and just commenting on everything and just being part of your journey. And I sincerely hope that we see her come back in future Mario, Paper Mario games.
And you said, I mean, you've been playing this for a couple of weeks now. Did you ever feel like it could have maybe benefited from being a bit shorter, or did you like that you could come back at it, for a long time?
I was also going to say that I think the reason I think it's so long actually is purely because of the combat. So it's a funny thing in that if for example, let's just say for argument's sake, the combat wasn't this whole grid system. It was maybe a traditional Mario in that you literally just run around and you jump on enemies, you get some power-ups.
You just wahoo those enemies to death.
You just wahoo them. I think the game would have been, you cut out a lot of the fluff and would have maybe then been like 15, 20 hours. And I think it would have been better for that.
Okay. So you think if it was, like edited a bit more, like cut down, it would have been better.
But I do think it's only stretched out that long because there are so many combat encounters, and they do take, I mean, they're not long, and like, it's 5 minutes an encounter, but you add up those dozens of, if not hundreds of 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 minutes encounters, you're getting this extra fluff that's
and when those aren't like changing, I can understand where a bit of like frustration really comes from.
So because there's no variation, like I say, it would have maybe benefited from having maybe a slightly deeper combat system. Like, I mean, I don't know what that would look like, but if you introduce different weapons that maybe had different effects or different ways to line up enemies, like it would have kept combat maybe fresh, I guess. But yeah, I really enjoyed this game. Like, that criticism aside, the soundtrack is, I'd put it up as a contender for like soundtrack of the year.
You've gone on about how great that soundtrack is.
Because they've put a lot of love and care into it. I mean, the soundtrack I've been listening to the whole week is about 4 or 5 hours, and it's just there's like remixes of. There's always these remixes of classic Mario tunes. There's new ones. There's great boss themes, great battle themes.
That's a great soundtrack to just like keep playing for like half the workday then.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, I would recommend. It's a good time.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll leave it at that because I don't want to talk about it too much. But I think Paper Mario: The Origami King is a great game. Just the combat's just if you are looking to pick it up, the combat is a bit drawn out over the long term. But the story itself, the world building, the characters,
still a good time.
Music, it's a great time. Yeah,
that's good.
I do think more people should pick it up.
Sick.
Yeah, that's it.
So what's the other Mario nonsense that you've been playing?
I've been playing some real Mario nonsense. I've finally dived into. Well, finally did it. When did it come out? Was it last week only?
Yeah, it was a week ago.
Oh, okay. So it feels a lot longer, but I've been playing.
Don't worry, this week has felt long as well.
It's been a weird week. I've been playing Mario 64 as part of the Mario 30. What is it? Not the 35th anniversary collection. It's the 3D All-Stars collection.
Because like All-Stars is a moniker that they used back in the day for when they like remade 1, 2, and 3 with the visuals of Super Mario World.
Yeah. So I'm playing Super Mario 64 as part of this collection, which was Mario's very first 3D game. And it shows.
Widely considered one of the best platformers ever made.
I mean, I can understand why, but let me tell you, that game... So when I started playing it, I was like, this game is so rough around the edges. The camera angle, let me tell you, camera angles, let's just be thankful that modern games, they have minimal issues with cameras because the camera in Mario 64 is... It takes some getting used to because it doesn't pan around properly. You have to adjust it manually. So... Let me explain this. You know your right thumbstick in a modern game, you can use it to pan the camera around yourself.
Yes.
Okay, you can't do that in this one. You tap the button in a direction and then it just swivels to that position. It's not like a fluid panning around. But look, when you get used to it, I mean, this is what I'm saying is that when I started the game, I was like, "Whoa, this is really, really rough. Like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this."
Stick with it, yeah.
But the way the game's designed, I mean, if you've played any modern Mario game, well, not all of them, but many of them are these quick fire levels where you just get a star and it takes a few minutes. So think of Mario Odyssey in the sense that you got moons in that one. That was very quick fire. You could get, I mean, each level had
so many moons.
So many moons, and you could find them everywhere. It's like that, but to a lesser degree in that you get 6 stars per level, but they're so quick to come by. So anywhere from like 1 to 10 minutes, depending on how complex the level is. And I just picked up a few, and then the ball was rolling. I've got nearly 60 now. There's 120 in the game, so I've like inhaled this game. I think I've played 14 of the 15 levels, so I'm pretty close to like having seen.
Holy crap!
Yeah, I snorted this game. Let me tell
that's
you.
crazy. Holy shit!
I just could not stop playing it. It like really hooked me. Now I can completely understand why people back then were blown away by it, because just imagine, I mean, like Crash Bandicoot is I suppose a similar example where for the most part platformers were always 2D and now all of a sudden it's on a 3D plane. Like Jeff was telling me when he first played Mario 64, he spent so much time just running around a tree because it was a thing. Like you couldn't do that previously. Now you've got this 3D space to run around in. And I mean, we're used to it because we've played 3D games back then and must have been like, holy shit, how do I do this?
And it wasn't just 3D. It was also like you mentioned Crash Bandicoot, but Crash Bandicoot had very strict linear levels. Like 64 was more like open, wide linear.
Yeah, Mario 64, it's interesting because the levels aren't massive.
Yeah.
Like if you were to, I suppose, look at it in a dev kit, whatever, and zoom out, you'd be like, it's actually not that big.
Yeah.
But they pack a lot of little details and areas into those small spaces that it makes it feel like there are levels within levels. And it's
you can definitely see that DNA. Like, I mean, you look at Mario Odyssey and it's kind of the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. And I mean, I can appreciate. I mean, there's a reason I've played it. I don't know how many hours I've played, but shit's like if I've got more than 60 stars and I've done nearly all the levels. I mean, look, I've got lots of extras to go do, but the fact that I've played through most of the game already, I think is testament to how well designed it is and how addictive it is, because I just want to keep exploring and playing these different levels. And look, the platforming as well is great. The only thing that's holding the game back to me is the camera.
Okay.
If I could pan it around like I could in Odyssey or any modern Mario game, the game would be a lot easier. And I think that's where a lot of the challenge comes in, is nailing these jumps you can't really line up correctly.
Yeah.
But that's not the faults of the platforming. That's, like I said, the camera's just tricky to manage. The platforming itself is tight, like you'd expect from a Mario game.
That's what I kind of wish that this collection maybe like touched up a little bit, because from what I can tell, the collection, you know, obviously it upraises some assets or whatever, but there's no like completely new ones or whatever. I think Mario 64 in particular also just, it runs at a 4:3 aspect ratio.
Yep.
Which,
Very weird.
I mean, yeah, is what it is.
Look.
But like, I wished maybe they would go back and be like, cool, we want to keep the spirit of 64, but we're also going to like not make it frustrating to play by modern standards. You know what I mean?
Yeah, my thing is, I almost think of, was it Halo the Master Chief Collection, where you could, on like by the push of the button, just see what the game used to look like and what it looks like now.
They also have two different control schemes in Master Chief Collection. Yeah, because like people forget all the tweaks that took place over the years. So like you have a control scheme which is like, I don't know if it's called this, but it's like Legacy and then like Modern. And when you go back, when I went back to Legacy, because I was like, well, I played Halo, you know, originally on the Xbox. I'm sure I was like, oh no, this is crap. Like this
the
is
shoot button is X.
Yeah, it's like the button mappings are fine, but the way they handle acceleration with the camera is like completely different.
Really?
Like they have different speeds on the x-axis versus the y-axis when you're aiming. I'm like,
oh no,
who thought this was a good idea? This is terrible.
Oh my
so
gosh.
it is interesting, like having a game where you can see like, oh, this is why it feels a lot better nowadays. Like whereas 64 is just like, remember this is what it is.
My word. I mean, so look, it does come across as like a cash grab from Nintendo. So I've only played the first game in this collection.
Because there's three, right?
There's three, yeah. So next up is Super Mario Sunshine, which came out on the... So Mario 64 came out on the Nintendo 64. Surprise.
No.
Mario Sunshine was on GameCube, and then Mario Galaxy, the best Mario game, on Wii. I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
So look, the fact that it's a collection is really great. Like, don't get me wrong. But on Mario 64... it's just weird that it almost, I know it's not as simple as this, but it feels like it's a copy paste of, here's the original game, we've just made it playable on the Switch, but we've left it as is. And I can appreciate that for like, sure, if you want to give people the original experience, you know, for purists, or just, like you said, keep it in the spirit of the original. But it feels like this game, a lot of people are going to try it. Like I've told you, like I think... give it a bash. You're like, nah, I'm not even going to try. Like, I don't have time for that.
I have no real like drive to try that, or even Sunshine, like at all.
Sunshine.
Like, I mean, I never played these games, so you know, as a kid, so I don't have this like nostalgia pulling me in. Maybe I have a morbid curiosity, more so for 64, just because of, you know, how historical and groundbreaking that was. But like, Sunshine, I don't really have any real attachment to, but like Galaxy is the one I desperately want to play. And I wish I could have just bought Galaxy alone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, but look, I mean, I haven't played 64 Sunshine either, so it's been really cool for me to pick, because like I've played basically every other Mario game, and 64 is the one that I've just missed over the years. And I'm glad I finally got to play it, and like, look, I've played it in its original form, like in every sense. But at the back of my mind, I do wish that there was, you know, widescreen support, that they did go, hey, you know what, we'll give you the option to move the camera freely. Because why not? It's like the camera's there. It does rotate around Mario. It's not like you're going to see broken parts of the level. Like the camera is made to move around. It just doesn't move around in a modern sense. And
or
like,
even increased it to like 60 frames per second or something like that.
And yeah, there are other things as well where like the draw distance is terrible because it was made in the Nintendo 64. Like there were limitations. You could step away from, like if you're in a big open area, you'll run and then coins and enemies will just appear, but like almost not in front of you, but like way closer than you'd expect, because the draw distance isn't great, because it's loading in certain assets at a time to obviously, you know, manage the Nintendo 64's hardware restrictions. Whatever.
I did see a funny thing. Digital Foundry did a whole like technical breakdown on all 3 games, and apparently in 64, when you're moving around, they swap an asset for like actual Mario, like a low detail one. So like on the 64, it was a bit harder to see, but like here, as soon as you move around, you can literally see that asset like swapping.
Really? I must pay attention.
Yeah, if you move him around and you aim his like face toward the camera, you'll see it's like a lower res version of the face, which is like
That's
really funny, like really cool.
That's great. But look, the game itself, I think really holds up. Like I can understand why this game is held in such high regard because like it was Nintendo's first proper 3D game, and they really nailed it. Some of the levels are like I was playing one this morning where if you go into so when you start the level, the Goombas are tiny. They're like really small, but you climb into a pipe, you climb out, they're huge. And I'm like, that's weird. But you've shrunk. Like you're basically flipping the world in that you're either big or you're small. And you use that to solve different puzzles.
It's the Mario grounded spin-off you didn't know you wanted.
Exactly, but it's like back then. I mean, shit, that was. If I had played that, I'd be like, this is amazing. There's another level where there are a whole lot of. Let me just come out and say, water levels across the board in any Mario game, any game should just be thrown in the bin.
They were fine in Odyssey. I thought they were pretty good because you could be a fish.
Yeah, so like that can be fun, but not one person goes, "Oh, a water level! I can't wait to play this."
Yeah, in general, they're just not fantastic. Yeah.
So there's one level where there are a whole lot of levers that raise the water level or lower them. I mean, that's not a big thing. No, like sure, it sounds frustrating, but I'm talking about how I think it's very creative of how they use that to, like, you start at the bottom of the level and there's a whole lot of platforms, but you have to raise the water to keep getting high in the level, for example.
This sounds like the water temple in Ocarina of Time.
Maybe, I don't know.
I mean, no, that was also Nintendo 64, so...
Which one came out first? So I can see, like, how they use this new 3D platform to really go all out and be creative. And look, the game has its frustrations. Like, I'll acknowledge it's rough around the edges, but again, I've inhaled this game.
I mean,
like,
you've nearly finished it. So yeah, I mean, that's testament that I guess the level design and overall, like, just the way it's all structured still holds up. Nearly 20 years later?
I think it's more. I think it came out in 94.
No way.
I'm telling you, this game is old.
Why in my mind, I typed Mario 54. That's not correct. In my mind,
64.
The Nintendo 64 always I don't know why, because I know it's wrong, but the Nintendo 64 always seems like a 1998, 99 console, and I know it's way before then.
It seems like a follow-up to the PlayStation, for example.
Yeah.
But it's not.
I guess it feels like that because that's when I started playing PlayStation, even though I know the PlayStation came out. So you were nearly there. It's June 23rd, 1996.
Okay, 2 years later.
Yeah.
But still, 24 years old. That's insane.
24 years old is pretty incredible. Like a quarter of a century old game that is still fun to play now. You can't say that about every game, especially when it comes to 3D platformers, because like you said, that was, them trying it for the first time. So, those things usually age super poorly. Like the first Crash Bandicoot, terrible game. Absolutely terrible. The two afterwards, fantastic. But
good stuff, yeah, because they learned how to do stuff with it.
Yeah, they learned how to do stuff. Okay, well, that's good.
I've been all Mario out this week, but I'll continue. I'm playing Sunshine next.
Getting back to that, you're going to experience... I didn't realize Flood. I thought Flood was always the name of a mechanic. I didn't realize it was the name of your backpack.
Yeah.
I also didn't realize that it spoke to you.
It speaks to you. I've got no touch point with Sunshine. All I know is that it's got a lot of water. It's interesting. I said water levels should be thrown in the bin when the game is built around water mechanics.
Yeah,
let's see how that goes.
Also, you don't play inverted, right?
No.
Okay, so I have heard that the original by default was inverted and had no option to turn it the other way around.
Oh no.
And so what Nintendo did, which I find ridiculous, is in this one, they changed it to non-inverted and then gave no option to change it back either. So if you enjoy inverted, you're just fucked, like completely.
They just flip the lever like
why not just give the option? Yeah, I don't know. But yeah.
It's a good time.
Could you imagine being forced to play inverted? I mean, it's weird. I play inverted when I do like flight games, but otherwise I'm not inverted.
I was going to say, nothing comes to mind, but I've had experience in the past, like when I was little, playing games where inverted was the way. So I can play inverted, but it's not my preferred way to play. Definitely not shooters and stuff. But yeah.
I remember playing shooters where I distinctly remember an old James Bond game called Nightfire where it already had the option for, the way we play shooters now where the camera controller's on the right stick. And it had that option, but then it had the more traditional GoldenEye option, which was like camera, like your turning and stuff was all on one stick and up and down was on the other analog stick. And I always preferred that. And I was like, who would play with the camera mapped to one whole stick? And here we are today. Can't imagine any other way to play a shooter.
Yeah, geez, like. But yeah, that's all my Mario nonsense this week.
Mm-hmm. So next week, Sunshine.
I don't know. I want to wrap up. I'm not going to get all 120 stars, but I do want to get stars that I know.
Also those red coins.
No. So a lot of those stars are tied to those red coins. Every level has 8 red coins that gives you a star.
Because I remember watching a speedrun of 64 and watching some of those ridiculous red coin puzzles.
So for the most part, they've not been too bad. Like there's never been levels where I've seen a coin going like, how the hell do I get that thing? Like it's pretty cool.
There's a wild Luna behind you. Appreciate the photobomb.
She busy cleaning herself.
I don't know. I just see her back. She's just like every now and then she pops into view and she's like, "Sup? What's up?"
Let's just do this. That's not working.
Hi Luna.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know why, but this week I'm like, when I look at my Audacity, I'm really soft, and then when I start talking a little bit, then I peak. So I don't know what's going on.
So loud. I don't know. Let's hope the sound is fine.
The joys of podcasting with the same setup every week and it doing different things.
And it just changes.
Yeah. It's great. Gremlins in the system.
Love it.
So yeah, I've been playing more of that Hades. Man, that's all I've played this week is really just it's been another busy week, so I've been like at the end of the day playing like an hour or two of Hades in bed. So really happy I got that game on Switch because it is perfect on Switch, but fuck, that game is hard, man.
Is it difficult?
I finally yesterday I broke through a wall that I'd been banging my head against the whole week. So the third world is called Elysium, and at the end of it there's a boss battle with two opponents. So
nice.
Sort of like the Shadows of Yana -1. You know what I mean? And I say that because if you kill one of them, you enrage the other. So I was like, this is very similar to that. Yeah. So I'd been banging my head against them because so basically the boss is like a dude with a spear and a shield and then a bull, like a minotaur. And the minotaur is easy to kill. It's the dude with the fucking spear, man. He does so much damage to you and he blocks a lot of your attacks. And I was just like, I couldn't. And then yesterday I got there with a really good set of boons. I had an ability where I was regenerating health on hits, and I met a companion just before the boss, which replenished my. They call them death defied, but it's basically like if you die, you get to come back alive again. So I've got like 2 of them. So he replenished them for me. So I was full stocked. I was ready. And even then, I nearly died. Like, they took away 2 of those stocks, and I was so near death. But I fucking beat them. Were you
sweating?
I beat them, and I went on to the next world, which was Styx, and died very quickly. So I was like, oh my God.
How many worlds are there? Do you know?
I don't know. I think Styx is the last one, the 4th one, because I think the 5th one is just a boss. If I'm trying not to know for certain before I get there, but the way people have spoken about it, they're like, oh yeah, I got past Styx and then it was the last boss. So I'm like, okay. So I'm nearly there.
Yeah.
But Hades, it's like one of those things. Last week when I spoke about this, I hadn't even beaten the second boss, which was the Bone Hydra. That thing is like piss easy now. Like I get past the Bone Hydra. Like getting to Elysium, the third world, was now like commonplace. Like I was getting there pretty quickly. So now I feel like now that I've got past this third boss, the wheels are gonna start turning on me. Like getting past them pretty quickly. I feel like I've taken longer to get to a first clear than other people because I've died like a lot. But this game is just, it's so good. And I've seen a lot of people talking about why they think it's drawing them in more than most other roguelikes, and the reason kind of holds with me. It's like this procedural story, not even procedural. It's just like a consistent story that is like continuing throughout every run. Like every time I die, I'm coming back to the start, and the characters they all have dialogue that reacts pretty accurately to what's happened. Like the like Hypnos is the dude who like takes register at the gates of the dead. So whenever I come in, he reads out what I died to and sort of like why I died from them, but also like takes a jab at me. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's cool.
And then like other characters like Achilles will be like, oh, you made it to this place, you know, you got to watch out for these guys, or how was it there, you know? So they are reacting to the progress I make, and even when I make less progress, they react to that. They're like, oh, you struggled that one, you know, it's kind of amazing the breadth of dialogue trees that Supergiant has like programmed into this game. I don't know if you saw, but Mike Mahardy, who used to work at GameSpot, he tweeted out an anecdote from Hades, which I found mind-blowing. So there's a boss named Meg. She's like one of the Furies. I'm sure you'll remember.
Is that the one from Darksiders?
Sort of, yeah.
Because I think it's Darksiders 3. The character you play is Fury, isn't it? So am I mistaken?
Oh no, yeah, but that's the Horse of the Apocalypse. The Furies are like sisters in Greek mythology. Okay. Yeah. So she's one of the Furies, and she's the first boss, but she also hangs out in like the bar area in like your home. So it's weird. Like you can talk to her outside of like a fighting contest, and she's like, oh, you got the better of me that time. Because like when everyone dies, they all end up in the same place. It's really weird. It's sort of like, I don't know, like sort of like when you say goodbye to everyone at a dinner and then you all walk in the same direction. It's like that awkward.
It's the worst.
Yeah, exactly.
Goodbye, see you. Where'd you park? Over there.
Oh, in the same direction. Oh, okay.
We've said goodbye already. This is weird.
It's exactly like that, except like I've killed her now. You know, she's now in a bar, like, and she's like, oh, okay, how far did you get this time? You know what I mean? So so back to my point, Mike Mahardy said that a conversation with Meg, she was like, oh, if you didn't have all your permanent upgrades, she doesn't say it in those words, but if you didn't have those, you wouldn't be a match for me. So what he did then was went to this mirrors. You like have a mirror where you spend points to give yourself like permanent buffs, and you can reset them to 0. So he reset them to 0, went back and beat Meg, and she reacted to that. She was like, "Oh wow, I guess I was wrong. Even without your powers, like you're still pretty formidable."
Bested me.
And to me, that's just like,
that's incredible.
Like, holy crap! You know, the sort of layers that they've put onto the dialogue to make it feel like every run is consequential and, you know, is part of the story. That's part of the reason why Hades is like just, I can't stop playing this game. That, and I mean the combat is phenomenal. It's just a really, really good feeling game, with lots of variety to all its weapons. I'm still like getting the hang of all the weapons, because the ways that all the boons or like the variations that you find on each run like affect each weapon can like drastically change how they feel. So I just implore everyone to play this game. Yeah, it's really good. Really, really good.
I think I'm going to pick it up and I'm going to stream it. I think it'll be a fun game to stream.
I didn't realize until yesterday or the day before that the main character is voiced by Darren Korb, who writes the music. Yeah.
What?
It doesn't sound like him, And I mean, not to say that I didn't think he could be a good voice over artist, but fuck, he's brilliant. Like,
yeah, I mean, like you said, I didn't realize he was
yeah,
a voice actor.
All the voice
he does
acting
the
in this
music.
game is just absolutely phenomenal. Just so much expression, so much, and just I think it's helped by like really good writing, because the writing strikes this really good balance between like being witty and humorous and, you know, kind of like serious in a way.
Yeah.
It's just really good. That game it keeps
good
surprising me. Yeah, keeps surprising me. And
That's cool.
I never got into Dead Cells this hard. I never got into other roguelikes.
Now you know what I went through.
No.
That game consumed me. Holy moly.
That's what I feel like now. And I keep seeing people going like, you know, they get their first run down, and now I'm seeing folks with like streaks of like 18 clears in a row because they keep swapping their weapons. Yeah. So there's like all sorts of different ways you can challenge yourself to do more runs. And I can't wait to get to that point. Like, I feel like getting that first clear is like the first big hurdle, because that will take like usually people's first runs I've seen take around like 40 minutes, and I've seen now people shaving that down to like 15-20 minutes in a run.
Shit.
So yeah, I want to get to that point.
That's
like, I'm
insane.
eager to get to that point. It's a great
That's
game.
cool.
It's on PC and Switch, obviously. I would recommend it on Switch, but it is like 3 times more expensive on Switch.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not expensive. It's like 350 rand.
Yeah. Although
but
I think that
I just
20% is leaving though, so you should.
No, it's sort of like 450, I think.
I still think it's best
but
on Switch though. Like, no question.
No, for sure, but I think I want to stream it. So
then you'll be
I
on
might as well
PC,
just
yeah.
stick with it on PC. Yeah.
It's,
I mean, I'll probably play it on PC and then pick it up on Switch anyway.
It's nice and
knowing
cheap
me,
on
so-
PC. And on PC, if you pick up Rocket League for free, you get a $10 coupon, so you can just use that on your Hades purchase.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I think Hades is 15,
Interesting.
so you can use it.
Oh,
on,
nice. I can get it for $5 whole bucks.
I think.
Say no more, fam.
I think.
Well, we'll see.
It's
see.
also, I think, $120 on Steam. It's like super cheap on Steam.
I mean, it's a bad whatever.
Yeah, it's like three Among Us.
Oh, we played a bit of that as well, but we won't spend too much
Can
time
chat
on
about that briefly. That game's good. Everything
It's
you
good
hear
time.
about that game, good. Definitely think it hinges on playing with a good group, because playing with you
Yeah.
and your friends was really fun. But yeah, that game. What I realized is, I sound suspect even when I'm telling the truth, because people did not believe me when I was telling the truth. I got voted off there for no fucking reason twice.
I know. My favorite thing is that I've reached a point where people know I'm bad at lying. So if I say I was doing something, they're like, okay, he probably was doing that. But I now need to play that to my advantage, because I only got to play the imposter once that evening. So I just need to play that to my advantage. Like, oh, of course I was in electrical doing tasks. People go, oh yeah, okay, cool. He's cool, fam.
I try to play the role of I don't know how this game works, and that quickly faded, because your friends saw right through my bullshit.
You know what? Some of them have like 500 IQ plays, which is very frustrating. Because even the ones you're like, wait, you can move in the vents, like, up, he's the imposter.
I was like, no, I'm new. I wanted to know. Like, I mean, to be fair, I literally tried
That's a
that
good
because I thought
time.
I could. And then when I was in events, I was pressing buttons and nothing was happening. So I was like, well, I guess I can't move.
It's fine. At least you didn't do like me in one of my many first runs of like, jump out of a vent by mistake. Like, hello.
I do like that video of yours. You just like delay your jumping into events, and it's just so funny.
So much regrets.
So funny. It
Yeah,
is.
it's
It's
a
a
good
good
game.
game.
I'm enjoying it.
It's fun. It's so rough around the edges, man. It's like placeholder text everywhere. But it again just goes to show if the core idea works. It's interesting though, because the game is designed around this idea that you will follow its rules that it can't enforce. Like, it hopes that you will not communicate in game, because otherwise it ruins it.
It'd ruin the whole thing.
So it's sort of like a board game in that sense, where the board game is hoping you follow its rules, because it has no way of forcing you to follow its rules. And I've always found like games like that can be hit or miss. But did you see, I guess this is sort of a preamble to news, but they cancelled their plans for a sequel.
Yeah, you forwarded that to me earlier this week, and I thought it was actually really big of them, because the fact that their game is one of the most streamed games on Twitch at the moment, and everyone is playing it. You could shit out a sequel. Sorry for the expression, and people would buy it.
You could do a Five Nights at Freddy.
You could do Five Nights at Freddy. Just put out a sequel in like 3 months. I mean, maybe by then people won't be playing the game. Like it's still early days, but the point remains of people have bought this game. It costs nothing, and they could just.
I think they've gone from like 0 to 60 million players. It's ridiculous. It's huge.
Just insane. Look, so like they've obviously made a fair bit of money now, and they can still continue to make money because of in-game purchases. Like there are cosmetics, but I really thought it was quite something for them to like. We're actually not going to make a sequel.
Yeah,
like we're just going to focus on making the first game. Like even though the it's built in like an sort of archaic game engine, it's going to be a mission to go back and like get deep into the code to optimize it for whatever we have planned. We're going to keep sticking with the first game.
It honestly looks like Game Maker to me, like, which is no knock against Game Maker, because Flambeer for all of their games use Game Maker. That engine is versatile if you work with it, but I look at it and I'm like, this looks like it was done like in a few days, just as almost like a can we make a game sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, it works. There's nothing wrong with it. The netcode's a bit fucked up at times, but otherwise it's good.
I think the netcode, in their defense, is a result of just having so many people playing.
Yeah, that's also true.
I don't think they had all expected that.
To be fair, we only had an issue at the beginning of the night connecting to that initial server, and after that it was fine.
And let me tell you, when I played a week or two ago, there was constant issues. We couldn't get into servers. It took a while to get in. So they've addressed a lot of that. It feels
That's
like,
good.
Which is cool.
I do like the I like the cosmetics. I like that I could have a fried egg on my head. That was fun.
So Portuguese.
It's very cute. I think, like you said, it's really. I think it does take a few rounds to kind of settle into its rhythm. You have to get used
to the maps and the mechanics.
Because at first I was just following everyone around because I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't realize I had like predefined tasks. I thought those tasks were all shared with everyone. So I didn't realize they were specific to me. That's why that one round where I didn't complete my tasks and everyone was like, why have we not won? I was like, I didn't understand.
Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
What do you mean we didn't win? What's going on?
I was very confused. But after that, then I figured it out. It's like, okay, I've got to do my tasks. Also, people really don't like it when you watch them do their tasks, apparently.
There's that one moment where you watched me for like an hour.
I didn't trust you.
I just happened to be doing, because the tasks are designed, there are some that are very quick fire, and there are some that will force you to stay there for
that fucking like 10, Simon Says one, man. My God. My God.
But I was doing the asteroid one, which takes a while.
Also, yeah.
And the thing is, for most of the tasks, there's a pop-up and you can't see what's going on underneath the pop-up. But the asteroid one, it's sort of like
it's like a computer monitor, yeah.
Yeah, so I was busy shooting asteroids and just watching you from the door, like staring at me.
I was trying to figure out if you were pretending to do that thing or not, and then you were there for so long. I was like, he's on to me. He knows I'm waiting for him to complete something. Because I was like convinced you were the murderer. And then when I played that asteroid game in a later match, I was like, this minigame just sucks. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good time.
Among Us is good. Yeah, it's cheap. But yeah, I do think it is one of those games that's
free on mobile as well.
Yeah, you should play with a group of friends that I think it's much better with people that you know, because I think with random people, especially, I'm sure people can go super try hard on that thing and then it's not fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, good time.
Sure. That's games this week. So many of them.
Gamers this week. Should we get to what release?
What releases are there?
Oh, we're getting into the silly season, boys, girls, everyone.
I want to.
So we're looking game releases from, I guess, today, September 26th. Until October 2nd.
What damn?
Oh, there's only 2 games, but they're 2 big ones.
Only 2 games? Wow.
2 big ones. It was going to be 3, but Baldur's Gate got delayed. So by a week. By a week, yeah. So there's 2 games that are big. There is Star Wars Squadrons, PC, PS4, Xbox One, October 2nd. And also on October 2nd, Game of the Year, Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time.
About time.
It's
Which
about.
one are you playing?
Oh, please,
Which
that's
one
even
are
an
you more excited for?
I did send.
Star Wars.
We got requests for review codes for Crash Bandicoot. Sent those off.
Interesting.
I also got one for something else that I've forgotten. Oh, we got a Mafia code. Do you want to play Mafia?
I've got so much stuff to
There's
play,
something
man.
else.
And Mafia's a trilogy, right?
Uh,
Oh, it's the first one. No, it's just the first
yeah,
one.
I don't know if the code is for the trilogy or just the first one. But that remake of the first one came out on Friday. So
I'm busy with the trilogy at the moment.
cool.
Of Mario's.
Mario's, not Mafia. Mafia Mario.
Mafia Mario. Oh my god.
I'm keen for the Star Wars Squadrons thing.
Yeah, I'm also keen for it.
Keen to give it a go.
Looks pretty.
Pew
pretty
pew in
nice.
space. But yeah, other than that, October seems like the month where all the big indies are getting their games out before new consoles come, because there are a lot of good indie games coming out in October, and because like November's just a clusterfuck. It's just so Jesus. Just looking at the list here, and it's ridiculous. I even forgot that we have like a big Nintendo exclusive in November, like
oh the
Hyrule Warriors.
What's it called? Hyrule Warriors.
Yeah, I'm just looking at it. It's like Call of Duty, Spider-Man, Demon Souls, Yakuza, Cyberpunk, Hyrule Warriors.
It's too much.
What is this? Destiny 2, Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Dirt 5. Like, fuck, so many games. So many. I mean, it's a good thing. There's Godfall. Remember that thing?
But there's so much.
Game & Watch. Okay. Game of the Year. Oh, wait. Here's actually Game of the Year. Katamari Damacy Reroll. Hell yeah.
What's that again?
Katamari Damacy. It's like where you roll around and everything you touch like sticks to you.
Yes. Okay. The floor is lava.
Okay. Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Cool. Should we get to game news? Gaming news. So before the big Microsoft acquisition news, there is some bigger news to actually talk about.
Bigger than the Microsoft acquisition?
Bigger than Microsoft.
Yes,
we finally know the anatomy of a fall guy. And it is terrifying.
And it's kind of terrifying. Let's not beat around the bush. That is nightmare fuel, and I hate it.
It looks like some bird.
Why does this exist?
Like the way I mean, you should go, if you haven't seen it yet, you should go to their official Twitter profile, and they put out some concept art of the anatomy of a fall guy, and it's basically like, it looks like this bird thing in like the suit, but the most terrifying thing is that its skull is like higher than where its eyes are, so its eyes come out with like little tendrils to where the eyes are on the costume. Its knees like bend in the wrong way. And also they're apparently the same size as a human. So
I mean, that makes no sense.
Yeah, that neck makes no sense. That looks like a breaking. I mean, considering all the falling you do in that game, you're going to break that neck.
It makes me uncomfortable to look at it.
Yeah, it looks like a boss out of Bloodborne. It's
it really does.
It is very unappealing.
This is going to come in Bloodborne too, a new enemy type, a fall guy.
Yeah, I mean, it's something you would find in a chalice dungeon.
And when it attacks you, it just goes, whoo.
It just grabs you and takes you down with it.
Just grabs you and murders you.
Oh my god, yeah. So that was some real nightmare fuel for the week. But other than that, yeah, Microsoft bought Bethesda. Holy shit.
So as we said at the top of the show, for a casual $7.5 billion.
Jesus. So
which
it wasn't just Bethesda, they bought Bethesda's parent company, ZeniMax.
Yeah, ZeniMax. That's it. I mean, just to give you an idea of the sort of games that entails, it's no biggies. It's just like Doom, I've gone blank now. It's not just
Elder
Doom,
Scrolls.
Elder Scrolls. Sorry, there we go. I had a blank there. Doom, Elder Scrolls. We've got Wolfenstein. Some arcane games like Dishonored, Prey. Just nothing.
Nothing new. Fallout.
Fallout.
Just big things. And I mean, obviously now Microsoft owns those studios as well. So those studios are now under the banner of Microsoft Game Studios. So I guess the first there were two big questions after this acquisition. Firstly, Bethesda has 2 games on the horizon that are timed exclusives for PS5. So immediately people were like, well, what happens to those? And it seems like those deals will stand, much to my surprise. I thought, I thought at the very least Microsoft would be like, cool, they'll be out on Xbox on the same day. But it seems like that's not the case. So Arcane's Deathloop and Tango Gameworks Ghostwire Tokyo will still come out on PlayStation 5 first. And then I assume will come to PC and Xbox not too long after. What happens after those games for any Bethesda properties is a bit less certain. Phil Spencer said, very vaguely, he says that game releases and platforms will be decided on a case-by-case basis. And, immediately everyone assumed then, oh, that means that some games will come to PS5. And I don't really think that's the case. If you look at what Microsoft's done recently, they have put out their exclusives on other consoles, just not Sony's one. They just last week announced Ori and the Will of the Wisps coming to Switch. Because
for Switch.
I guess they don't see the Switch as a direct competitor in the same way that they see Sony's. So I don't necessarily think that they mean that the big marquee titles like the next Doom or the Elder Scrolls 6 will come to Sony. I know a lot of people are going, well, that would be silly of them, but at the same time, I don't think you buy a publishing house for $7.5 billion just to like put their games out on your competitor's machine.
See, but my thing with that though is that I 100% understand why you would not put it on Sony, but in my mind, you own the studio. So if you put it out on say the place, whatever, like the next Elder Scrolls 6, it's coming multi-platform. You can market it in a way that's, okay, you can either play it on the PlayStation 5 for $70, or you can pick it up on Xbox with Game Pass. And I think when you present it like that, you really set yourself up and people go, shit, like maybe Xbox isn't the bad choice here.
That's
like
also
maybe
true.
Xbox is the console I should buy. So I don't know, like it's very interesting that they have options available to them, and that like maybe that's why Phil Spencer's like it's a case by case thing, because maybe they're going to experiment. Like maybe the first exclusive, like sorry for the dumb example, Elder Scrolls 6, they say, well, we're going to keep it Xbox and PC, see how that goes. Or they might go, well, we're going to put on everything and see where does it sell more, or where do more people play it, and like what can we do with the next title, adapt our model, or how can we improve, or I don't know. Like at the end of the day, they've got this monolith of a studio, of a company with all these big tentpole titles.
Yeah.
They're going to make money regardless. So
I do think. Sorry, I think you make a lot of sense with that strategy. I think they could almost do a 2 birds with 1 stone thing. Like, yeah, it's out on PS5, but it's $70 on PS5. Whereas if you play it on Xbox or PC, it's on Games Pass. Because
it's on Game
obviously
Pass.
now the big thing, the implication is that next Elder Scrolls, next Doom, next Fallout, next Dishonored, Starfield, Deathloop, all of those are all Game Pass games now. Like day and date Game Pass games. It's just,
so the coming, well, we don't know in future if they will, but I mean they should be, like they probably will be day and date Game Pass titles. But what I thought was a big thing this week, they've now announced Doom Eternal is coming to Game Pass.
So I think the whole back catalog will just come to Games Pass.
It's just gonna come to Game Pass at some stage regardless, and maybe like you say, just day and date it's going to be part of the service.
And speaking of Game Pass, Microsoft announced also this week that their subscriber numbers have jumped from 10 million to 15 million in 6 months. So they've gained 5 million new subscribers to Game Pass in 6 months, which is
and
huge.
I just think it's going to keep growing because a lot of people are still like, my thing is I think hardcore gamers know of Game Pass, and they probably are on Game Pass, most of them. But I'm thinking of the more casual gamer who's just picking up an Xbox, who has no clue about Game Pass. I think those people are going to get on like, holy shit, there's a whole library here for $10 a month or whatever it is a month in your region. And I don't know, it's just crazy. It's such a crazy service.
Yeah, I definitely think I agree with you. I think Game Pass hasn't broken through that barrier of like almost like social consciousness, like, you know, like where everyone now knows what a Netflix is. Like Game Pass hasn't reached that level yet. And I think when it does, that's when it goes from, you know, 15 million is a lot. That's like, what, about half or just close to half of all the Xboxes sold.
Which is a lot. Don't get me wrong, it's a lot, but I feel like it's going to just
I think it has potential to be way bigger than that, and I think it will be. And I think, you know, when Microsoft talks about how Game Pass isn't profitable yet, and they're talking about the long game, I think that's what they're talking about. I'm sure they have a number where it's like as soon as we pass this threshold, it starts becoming profitable, and they have the finances to kind of see that long-term thing pay off, whereas Sony, I think, are in less of a position to make that bet. You know what I mean? Because it is a bet. Microsoft has no real way of knowing whether this will work long-term. They are making the bet on this being their stand, whereas Sony is making the bet that premium and very good exclusives are what will drive the future. So yeah, I'm curious to see how it shakes out. But this is, I think, out of all the acquisitions that Microsoft has made, this is by far the biggest.
This is the one that shouts as the biggest flex.
Yeah,
that's all. I just keep thinking about it of one morning. Phil Spencer woke up, had some breakfast. Like, you know what? Let's just buy ZeniMax.
Yeah, let's just buy ZeniMax. Fuck it. Let's
I know
just
it didn't happen like that, but in my head, I like to imagine like there's like we need something like particularly stand out for the next year. Let's just buy Elder Scrolls and Doom and all these other games.
What's interesting is that it doesn't seem like Microsoft approached Bethesda. It seemed like it was the other way around. It seems ZeniMax has been looking for a buyer for quite a while now. So I think Microsoft jumped on the opportunity, you know, whether or not it was like, well, we can't let Sony buy this. I don't even know if Sony would potentially be able to purchase them, because someone pointed it out on Twitter, this sale is, so 7.5 billion is the same as Sony PlayStation's profits for all the years cumulatively between 2013 and now.
Shit. that's
it
a
just
lot of money.
puts in perspective, you know, Microsoft as a company versus Sony as a company are two very different companies.
Yeah, I think people need to remember that Microsoft has Windows and Office and all these other products for enterprises and small businesses and everything in between that make them a lot of
Xbox
money.
is not their money maker.
Xbox is almost like it's the it's almost like I don't mean it in this way, but like the little backyard experiment.
Yeah.
I mean, Xbox isn't that, but it in perspective compared to the other stuff, it's like it really is. I think one of their smallest.
I mean, it's why they nearly closed it down
mind-blowing.
not too long ago. So,
but can you just think about that? Xbox, this big force, is like not Microsoft's biggest moneymaker. It's wild.
Whereas with Sony, PlayStation
money.
is their moneymaker. Like it is their primary source of income. Yeah.
But that's why I've said in the past where I don't see it happening. But it's kind of scary to think that if Sony makes a misstep or something, like it puts them on the back foot, and they could very well not exist in 10, 20 years. Like it's not impossible.
And no one wants that, because like, to be fair, the only reason Microsoft is being this fucking like outwardly aggressive is because Sony handed it to them last generation. Like absolutely. And Microsoft has spent years building the foundation. Like a Bethesda acquisition like this wouldn't carry the same weight if something like Game Pass didn't exist.
No.
You know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
So they've been laying the groundwork for these big things, and now I'm not saying that Sony is making missteps. I think Sony is sticking to what they know is the way and what has worked for them. But at the same time, I feel like they, maybe through no fault of their own, they're not able to adapt in the same way, but it just feels like they aren't going blow for blow with Microsoft at the moment. Especially when you look at check this segue. Next news piece.
I was just going to say. Same thing.
Spider-Man Remastered. So this feels like a weird, like, rock and a hard place sort of thing, because like, so on Xbox, Microsoft has smart delivery, right? So all of the games from Xbox One work on Series S or Series X, and they work with like, in a way, it's almost like backwards compatibility plus, because they will get patches, or they have frameworks within them to allow for like higher frame rates and better resolutions. And on Xbox, they have a method of applying HDR automatically using AI. So games without HDR implementations get an HDR implementation. So like, for instance, Gears of War 5 will run at 120 frames per second on the Series S, and have a better HDR implementation. And a lot of that comes from the fact that, well, the game was on PC as well. So to scale it in that way isn't that much work because it was already working like that on PC. Whereas Spider-Man Remastered is like them taking the original game and adding features from the Miles Morales, the upgraded engine, like ray tracing, better frame rate performance, better assets, stuff like that. So it is, for all intents and purposes, a bit of more work. But when you look at it from a communication standpoint, Sony is charging for its upgrade, whereas Microsoft is not, even though those things aren't one-to-one, really. But the perception is there that it should be. And that's what makes the fact that your PS4 Spider-Man will not upgrade to the remaster version for free kind of...
It's weird.
I think Sony, if they can't compete on Games Pass, because they've already said, Jim Ryan says that they will not launch a service similar to that. You have to make a concession somewhere. And I think this was one place where they were like, yes, you can play it backwards, the backwards compatible version without the extras. But I assumed for their first party games, it'd be like, if you own it on PS4, you'll get the remaster, quote unquote, for free.
It's I don't know. It's just weird. Like the whole Spider-Man thing has been such a weird thing from the start, because even when Miles Morales was announced, it was like, hey, it's an expansion to Spider-Man 4, and then it's like, no, it's a standalone game, only playable on PS5. No, it's actually coming to PS4 as well. Also, if you buy this Ultimate Edition, you'll get the remastered version of Spider-Man at PS4.
Yeah, the communication's been a mess.
If you own Spider-Man on PS4, you're not going to get the remaster. Like, it's just, I don't know. Like, I have to think there's some sort of conversation that happens behind closed doors. I mean, there must be. But I just don't know, how do we get to this point where messaging is so muddled?
Yeah.
Like, from my own experience, the only way I can see something like this happening is just... maybe people have ideas, but it's too many chefs.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like this mishmash of just poor communication. And it really makes them look bad. Like, it's not going to make or break Sony, but holy shit, it comes across like in poor taste of, come on, like, if you've been a PS4 person, why wouldn't you get this on PS5?
I think their bet is like, I'm assuming their bet is that you're going to buy Miles Morales anyway. And then,
true.
like, they're basically saying then, well, what's the extra $20 to get the original remastered? But it's still like, I mean, it feels more sour because you can't do it as a standalone thing. So, if you just have the PS4 Spider-Man and you're like, okay, I don't have $50 for Miles Morales right now, but maybe, I'd have the $20 to play the remaster. Like, you can't do that. They're not giving you the option to do that.
No.
Whereas... the only way to get the remaster is to buy the Ultimate Edition of Miles Morales, or
just cash
or buy Miles Morales and then upgrade it later to the Ultimate Edition for $20. And it's not a case of them not being able to offer this, because Sony have said, if you buy Miles Morales on PS4, you will get the PS5 version as an upgrade for free. Not a backwards compatible version. You'll get that upgrade for free. So it's not a matter of like the infrastructure can't like support something like this. Like, it's there. I just find it, I find it weird that everyone got up in arms about Control doing this, because this is essentially the exact same thing.
It's the same thing.
But now, in a way, Sony is getting a lot more defense for what they're doing here. And it is the same thing. If you look at Control never had a lot of these features on console, like ray tracing, better performance, better assets. And that's what they're promising with this the Ultimate Edition, that they're forcing people to pay more for. So, I think if you're mad about one, you have to be mad about the other. And I can understand the difficulties from one or the other, but at the same time, 505 Games is not Sony. I would have expected this to be free for Sony first party studios. I thought Sony would take the hit. It's a consumer friendly move. They go, you'll get the remaster version for free, especially since you can't buy it standalone. So what are they actually like? What are they trying to gain otherwise?
I mean, my thing is like the fact that you can't buy it standalone is just such a weird thing. It exists. It's there. Like, why wouldn't you sell it for $30 even?
You can't buy Spider-Man for PlayStation 5. You can only buy Miles Morales. So,
but back to what you're saying about people just defending Sony. Like this console war, inverted commas, is it brings out such a nasty side of people, which it's the one side of gaming I don't like, because like you can have your brand affinity, that's fine, but like if you go to a Xbox thread on Twitter, for example, and you scroll, you'll find a lot of PlayStation people saying shitting all over Xbox, and then the other way around as well. Go to a PlayStation thread, Xbox people shitting all over PlayStation. It's like, just have your platform, enjoy your platform, let everyone else have their way. And like the reason I bring that up is because people defending Sony, it's just they'll defend them. It's like it's my brand. Like, if they can do no wrong,
I think if you really love a brand, you should be asking better of them.
You should. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you should be being like, listen, Sony, like, come on, don't do this. Not defending them.
You should not be. I mean, for all intents and purposes, praise when a platform does right, but like also acknowledge when they are slipping into ways that seem a bit. I mean, there's a difference between understanding. Like, I can understand why Sony might want to charge for this, because yes, Insomniac is doing more work to make sure that this remastered version is something. But at the same time, I think with what Microsoft is offering, especially now, you have Game Pass versus the $70 new game, and you're getting, whether it's backwards compatible or, enhanced for Series X stuff for free. This to me just seems like a bit of an own goal from Sony. I think they could have taken a hit on this.
It's a weird choice. Well, I mean, it'll be interesting to see what they do with the next batch of exclusives. Like, imagine Horizon, Forbidden West. Maybe that also is like, well, here's the remastered version, or the special edition. It comes with Horizon Zero Dawn remastered. But if you own it on PS4, you can't upgrade it, so you're not getting a free version. Like, I don't know.
Or like even just exclusives from this year. Like Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Tsushima were already announced to be, they'll work on PS5 on day one. But are they just going to work on a backwards compatible, perspective? Are they going to get a quote-unquote remaster with new assets that you'll have to pay for again? Because I think that will be the sour pill to swallow. Like, wow, you bought this game 6 months ago, now you're trying to upsell me on a remaster. Like,
again, yeah.
That happened with the original Last of Us between the PS3 and PS4, but the difference there was like, it wasn't backwards compatible. That cell architecture could not allow for it. And even then, there was a sour taste in people's mouth. Like, God, guys, we just bought this game and now we
just played it, yeah.
So I don't know. I'm curious to see what this means for Sony's, first party cross-gen nonsense going forward. But I mean, you look at CD Projekt Red. Witcher 3 came out in 2015. It's getting a next-gen patch for free.
Cyberpunk
for free.
Delivery.
Assassin's Creed for free. Yeah. I honestly don't think Sony has a leg to stand on in this regard. I just don't.
But then you get 2K, NBA, 2K21. Buy the Ultimate Edition. You get both versions.
Yeah. Or Call of Duty. You need to pay $10 more to get the next gen version. It's like, God. Yeah.
Okay. Whatever, man.
Anyway,
that's Sony news.
Yeah, that's Sony news.
But speaking of, so Sony say they'll never. Well, they can't do an Xbox Game Pass subscription.
Yeah, they say it's not financially feasible.
But the PlayStation Plus thing to me is like it's a light version of that. So it kind of exists. And they've got PlayStation Now, which is
I really think they should just really. Like PlayStation Now, I get that you can't stream from every region, but it supports downloads for its PS4 titles. Like, put that out in other regions. That's an easy counter to Games Pass.
basically, yeah. But now the reason I bring that up is because Amazon have now said, hey, we've got a new cloud gaming service.
What's it called?
It's called Luna. Like my cat.
Yeah, you're right.
She's gone, damn it.
Luna.
So they've revealed Luna, which is, it's kind of, I think Stadia, so Google Stadia, quick summary, basically Google's cloud service, except that you have to pay a fixed monthly fee and buy your games on top of that, which makes no sense.
Yeah, bad model.
Amazon come out with Luna. They're charging $6 a month for instant access to a library of games. And it's not just any games. I mean, it'll run it's capable of reaching 4K 60 frames
which is
a
already
second.
On Stadia. You had to pay $10 just for that capability.
Yep, and it includes games like Resident Evil 7 and Control and A Plague Tale and like all the. Okay, look, I think that's just the launch games, but think about what games will be added to that.
It said it's offering 100 games initially.
Oh, okay. So I'm just looking at a quick
whereas
list
Stadia
here.
had, I think the only game it had for free for subscribers at launch was Destiny.
Which is, like, to me, Stadia's dead.
Yeah.
Sorry. If you put these next to each other, it's a no-brainer. Like, why would you ever go for Stadia when Amazon's offering the exact same thing? And not only that, I mean, this raises an even bigger thing of xCloud costs... Project xCloud costs what? It's the cost of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, right? Which is that $10 a month? Is it $15
so Ultimate
a
is
month?
$15.
And it's included with that, right? I don't know if they've announced xCloud separately, like its own
xCloud,
standalone.
or what they call it now is Game Pass streaming, Game Pass game stream. I don't know. They changed it to a less memorable name.
But even that, as it's a $15 model to get the whole Game Pass library anywhere, stream it anywhere. Now you've got Amazon coming in at like less than half the price, which is just crazy.
Amazon's aggressive with this for sure.
That's insane pricing. And sorry, you're right. The list is a lot bigger. There's Control, there's 2 Point Hospital, there's Metro Exodus, there's Assassin's Creed Valhalla's in there.
Oh, so that's a bit different. So this is
is that different?
This is what I read, which I thought was it's kind of a cool idea. So Luna has a tier called Luna Plus, which will right now it only includes a partnership with Amazon, but essentially what they're calling them are like publisher specific channels.
Ubisoft.
Yeah, so like you can pay a bit extra to get access to the Ubisoft channel, and that will have
titles.
access to their titles.
Okay, but I mean that's almost like it's the EA model of like there's a light version and there's like the premium version. Okay.
To me, Luna sounds almost like this is your Apple TV and you get access to our stuff, but then you can also get Netflix on it and pay their subscription service, but you can play it through us. You know what I mean?
It's crazy.
But again, like you said, it's completely different to Stadia where, you're paying a subscription and then paying piecemeal for every game. And then on top of it, every game is segmented just to Stadia players. So if you're playing Destiny on Stadia, you can only play with other Destiny Stadia players, which is just, to me, like, I don't know what they're doing.
Stadia is, I'm sorry, I have to think that Stadia Google have to either revise their strategy like aggressively, or they have to close the door on that service, because I don't see it lasting.
They're being pummeled.
Not up against not up against the likes of Luna and xCloud. Like it's a no-brainer. Why would you ever pay for Stadia when you have these two other alternatives?
Especially now when like because Stadia right now only really works on like not Stadia, sorry, xCloud only works on mobile devices and laptops. Luna works on TVs. So like if you're looking at something specifically for TV and you just have Luna and Stadia, like Luna just makes way more sense now. So yeah, their controller definitely looks like a Switch Pro controller, doesn't it?
That's a Pro Switch controller.
I really don't like the purple. I think it looks gross.
I don't mind the purple, but it like if you just. I actually need to see them side by side because it really does look
identical. Like the shape,
That's so funny.
It looks identical.
I love what Darren wrote here. He says, and here's a look at the Alexa-enabled controller that you'll be able to purchase for Luna that totally doesn't look as if it has cribbed Nintendo's Pro Switch controller.
It's literally like the Amazon Basics version of a Pro Switch controller.
It's like you can copy my homework, fam. Just change it up a bit. I just added a
little bit
Amazon
purple in the Amazon logo. Yeah. My God.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, that is out. I think they said later this. Oh no, wait. There's no date for Luna's early access yet, but customers in the US can request an invitation. Oh, the big thing here is that it's also going to be supported on iPhone and iPad via web applications. So we all know that Microsoft isn't doing xCloud on Apple because Apple doesn't allow streaming. But it seems the loophole there is to use a web browser. So I'm curious to know if I have to assume Microsoft thought of that as well and maybe didn't like the experience via the web browser, or maybe they're still working on it. So I don't know. It gives a bit of hope.
Yeah.
Still,
can we just appreciate that you can play modern games through a web browser?
Literally, just through a web browser.
5-year-old, not even 5-year-old me, 30-year-old me, not even that long ago, is like, wow, that's incredible.
Unbelievable.
Holy shit, that's insane.
Some quick other things then. The Series X and Series S expandable storage. That little memory card that is like an SSD. That thing's $220. Yeah, it's expensive.
Burns my pockets.
There was also an announcement earlier this week for Samsung's new NVMe SSDs, the 980 Pro, and it's got the sort of speeds, quote unquote, that match what Sony requires. Speed isn't the only thing. It needs the SSDs need a certain priority rating. I'm not sure if that determines how the controller on the SSD segments data across all of its DIMMs, and it also needs to be a specific size. So I'm not going to outright say this is the first SSD that can work on the PS5, but the reason I bring it up is it matches the sort of speed, and that thing for a 1 terabyte is $250. So to me, it seems like Microsoft's little expansion card is part and parcel for what NVMe SSDs of the certain speed are going for anyway. And Microsoft's is in a small form factor. It plugs into the back of your console and runs exactly like the internal SSD, so you can boot games off there, store games, blah, blah, blah.
Oh,
yeah.
Did you just plug it straight into the back of the console? Do you not have to open your console
up?
No,
so that's what I find a bit at least nicer. I mean, Sony's kept a lot of things. They haven't really detailed expandable storage, SSD-wise for the PS5, but the way Mark Cerny talked about it earlier this year, it sounds like you'll be replacing the one inside your console. So I don't know what their plans are for external storage that matches their internal SSD. Especially since that internal one is only 800 and something gigabytes. So, yeah, listen,
my thing is
expensive.
But my thing is look, I think by the games today, they already are 50 to 100 gigs. Looking at you, Call of Duty and Red Dead Redemption. If you put it in that perspective, so let's say for argument's sake, you're installing 8 Call of Duties, you can keep 8 copies of them. I mean, which is
8 Call of Duties, love it.
8 Call of Duties. In my head, it's internet's fast enough that you can rotate your games out fast enough if you wanted to. But I can 100% understand that this is the state of games today.
Yeah.
In 2, 3 years, 4 years, games could be coming in at 200 gigs a pop, 300 gigs a pop, whatever. I don't know what the plan is in future. And then the 800 gig looks exceptionally small.
I mean, the 512 on the S looks exceptionally small as well.
I laughed because I was reading up on what the PS3 cost when it came out way back when, because here's the thing, the PS3 cost more than the PS5
and it had I think the fat one had a 60 gig hard drive.
No, there was a 60 gig and there was a cheaper version that was 20 gig.
Oh, because the 60 gig was the only one that could do backwards compatibility, I remember.
But think about that though. It's 20 gig back there is probably it's fine. Games are 4 gigs a pop. It's fine. You can keep 5 Call of Duties on here.
Nowadays, that's Hades takes up half your hard drive.
It takes up half your hard drive. Oh my gosh. But yeah, so 800 gigs seems big now, but I acknowledge that in a few years it's not going to be enough, probably.
These consoles have come out at a point where they needed to upgrade to faster storage, but the faster storage hasn't caught up to these sort of prices, like for quantity yet. Like a 2 terabyte SSD is still expensive. They've hit it at the right point where a 1 terabyte SSD is not nearly as expensive as it used to be. So yeah, I mean, again, Sony hasn't detailed this for the PS5, so I can't really say whether they'll do the same, but Microsoft is giving options outside of just this $220 card to keep your games. So they've already said that your hard drive, like external hard drive that you used on the Xbox One, can be plugged into a Series X without any issues. It will immediately play 360 Xbox One games via backwards compatibility fine. And it will run, they can run off that hard drive. Okay. What you can also do is store Series S and Series X games on that hard drive, not play them off that hard drive. You would have to transfer them back to an SSD. So what you could do is, instead of using an external hard drive, you could get an external SATA SSD, which is slower than the internal one, but transferring between that and your internal SSD will be relatively quick. So you can cold store games on your hard drive and then just transfer back and forth as you choose. What is neat is that the not smart delivery, the quick resume stuff, that works irrespective of whether you're running the game on your internal SSD or the external hard drive. Apparently, it caches a portion of that game on the internal SSD, so you can resume it. I don't think you'll benefit from the very fast load times, obviously, because it's being read off a much slower drive, but that is a pretty cool feature if you're going to use a lot of that quick resume stuff. So I think, this 1 terabyte expandable storage is, yes, it's expensive, but I also think right now it's a luxury. And I think these things are going to get cheaper. You don't need it. I think Microsoft and Sony are both betting on them getting cheaper because, I don't think they expect every player of their consoles to fork out what is essentially half the price of a console to expand their storage. Yeah.
Good Lord. You put it like that. Would you rather? You might as well just take that half that money and just buy another console.
I mean, this thing is $80 cheaper than a Series S. It's ridiculous.
Just keep your games across 2 consoles. It's fine, man.
So,
any other news? I know that there were hot rumors of Metal Gear Solid getting a PS5 nothing.
They did put out the Metal Gear classics, so Metal Gear 1, and Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2 on PC, on GOG. But they're apparently the same decades-old PC versions, so they're pretty bad to play. Konami just doing a Konami. But there are rumors that Sony is funding a remake.
Top secret
remake of Metal Gear Solid 1, which would be amazing.
Did you play Metal Gear Solid 1?
I haven't played it. I've played a little bit of it. My only Metal Gear Solid 1 touch point is the little piece of it that you play in Metal Gear Solid 4.
Oh, see, I've never played Metal Gear Solid 4, but I know you go back to Shadow Moses.
You go back to Shadow Moses, and before you arrive there, Snake has a dream, and the dream is PS1 Metal Gear Solid. Yeah.
Oh, really?
It's ridiculous.
Shit, that's cool.
And as he wakes up from the dream, they transition from the old Snake asset to the new one, just to drive it home. It's very funny. It's very Kojima. Amazing. It's great. Yeah, it's great.
You got any other news?
Game Awards. Game Awards are happening this year, but it's going to be digital, obviously, so it's going to be spread out across the globe.
BlizzCon is happening now in February 2021.
BlizzCon Online.
Instead of... It's BlizzCon
LAN. I hate that name. BlizzCon LAN. Get out of here.
BlizzCon LAN. Cool,
but that's happening in February. So I expect, updates on Diablo and Overwatch.
Overwatch 2. I thought Overwatch 2 was coming out this year.
I don't know. I haven't kept up super well with Overwatch stuff. I did watch some gameplay of Overwatch 2 the other day, and I was like, wow, this really looks like Overwatch. That's all I have to say about
Overwatch.
that.
I still think that sequels are too soon and unnecessary, but that's just me.
I'm keen for new Diablo though. Diablo 4 in my veins.
Diablo. I don't know.
Resident Evil Village might not be next-gen exclusive. For some reason, I always thought it was going to be cross-gen. So during Tokyo Game Show, when Capcom was like, listen, we're trying to get it running on current gen, I was like, oh, I thought it was a lock for current gen, but okay. So yeah, who knows?
I also didn't know that, but hey.
Yeah, the game looks good.
But it's no release date yet.
Yeah. I think they've said 2021, but they haven't said when. Yeah.
Oh, they said to drop the bomb like January 2021.
I mean, they've done that. They've done that pretty recently with all of their games. It's like fairly soon. So we'll see.
So we'll see.
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay.
So now it's everyone's favorite segment, questions. If you want to send us questions, you can email us, checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com. Can also hit us up on all the social platforms, at Checkpoint Chat on Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok.
All the things.
Yeah.
Okay, let us start with, I think we have a lot of questions. Gosh, what are we even on here time-wise?
Hour and a half. We're not too bad.
Oh, no, okay. But you know what? When you have like 30 million questions, it takes time. Let us start with... Hang on, let me just get into the right account here. With Instagram, we have a bunch of questions. So, question 1 from Cello ZA. Of course.
Great deceiver.
I heard a wild rumor. That Sandy will be joining us for Tuesday. Will be joining for Tuesday Among Us.
I cannot confirm or deny such a rumor.
You see, I could either confirm or deny this either because I have no plans to play Among Us on Tuesday. And Cello follows up with, if Harry said that he isn't playing Among Us, and don't worry, we're playing on Tuesday 9 p.m. He knows.
I don't know. I'd love to join again whenever. It's just work depending.
See, but I've also got other stuff I want to play. Like I want to finish up Remnant because I'm like 8 hours in. I'm really enjoying it.
What a great game!
Haven't played it for a while. I want to play Hades.
What a great game!
I actually wanted to stream Mario 64, but
stream a 4x3 game. What?
Okay, and Cello says Formula One prediction time.
Oh fuck
Let's
yeah!
go.
There's a race this weekend. I don't know. I get these wrong all the time anyway. So let's go Bottas, Hamilton, Verstappen.
Wow. Oh, Bethesda also says F1 predictions. A podium for Danny Rick.
Fuck, I wish.
Podium
My God.
for the homeboy Kvyat.
Homeboy Kvyat. No, not a chance. Because the race is in Russia this week. So no. I really hate this track. I really hate the Russian track. I think it's very boring. So not expecting an exciting race.
I did not know that Russia had a track.
It's pretty recent,
1, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's the past 4 or 5 years.
But can I tell you, my affiliation with Formula One, my PlayStation 1 days, I played Formula 1 97. Okay. I knew those tracks back to front, and I only know those tracks. Anything that came after that, I don't know.
Many more tracks after that. They even have tracks where they race at night now, Matthew.
Wow. Wait, which one's that? So
there's 2. There's Singapore, and there's Abu Dhabi at the end of the season.
Abu Dhabi, that I actually do know about.
They're really cool. They're really cool tracks. And there's a new city track. So not just Monaco. There's one in Azerbaijan, which is through the city, which is one of my favorite tracks. It's so good. Yeah.
That's cool. Nice. Okay, last question from Bethesda. He says, how many slots/cases will the 3090 Titan take up?
Jesus. It takes up 3 slots. I've watched some videos.
3 slots.
I saw Linus Tech Tips build a PC with the 3090. That thing's just huge. It's chunky. It's a big boy.
Chunky.
Yeah.
Chunky.
I think friend of the show, Brett, UFD Tech, if I'm not mistaken, he was building a mini ITX build with either the 3080 or the 3090, because he posted a photo of this mini ITX motherboard with this. I think it was a 3080, come to think of it. The 3080 on it, and it just looks so ridiculous. Just like the size
like
difference.
A little pipsqueak, the motherboard.
Yeah, it was really funny. He makes good videos. You should go follow him.
The motherboard. Yeah, good dude. Fun fact. That's who I bought my Switch from.
Oh yeah, that's right. When he was still in South Africa, I do recall.
That's so funny. Because I think back then he was like, nah, Switch is not for me. I'm just going to sell it. I could be wrong, but I think he does own a Switch today.
Have you seen, he did a video not too long ago of a setup he has in bed to play games.
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. It's like
it
the dream
looks so
setup.
nice with that swivel arm monitor and his PS4 connected to it, and damn, looks real good.
But my favorite is one day he tweeted, he's like, I'm feeling really sick today, but I guess this is why I built this whole contraption, this whole setup, so I can just stay in bed.
It's so good. It's so good.
It's like this man's living in 2030.
Really is.
We still in 2020.
He really is.
And then last question on Instagram from Yashar, who says, has Alessandro released his EMS book yet?
Oh God,
okay, you have to explain this. Okay, because this is a 2-part question. We'll get to the second part after this. Have you released your EMS book yet?
No, not yet. I'm busy writing on how to predict console prices and not be an asshole on Twitter.
Nice.
By Alessandro Barbosa.
God. So for context, I think when the console prices came out, a lot of people in South Africa are floored by the fact that it costs a lot more than overseas, just ignoring the fact that there's a lot of other costs to take into account. But yes.
Well, no, so essentially it was straight after the PlayStation 5 conference, they had announced their dollar price, and the PS5 was $500, just like the Series X. So I was like, well, that's definitely going to be $12,000, you know what I mean? And the digital one, it was a bit of a toss up between like $9,000 or $10,000, considering the Series S was $7,000.
Yeah.
So there's a guy, I guess he's a local finance dude on Twitter. I don't know. He has like 100,000 followers, and it seems like a lot of people. I mean, he doesn't just tweet out console prices. He tweets out finance advice for everything. But he basically put a tweet out saying he was predicting $8,000 and $10,000 based off of trends on past consoles. So I just replied and said, Series X is $500 and it's $12,000. Don't set yourself up for disappointment. And he got all like really condescending. He was like,
not just to you, just to gamers.
He got condescending to everyone who was kind of like pointing out that he might be wrong. But where the EMS thing comes up on, he was like basically, what did he say? He said, contrary to what he said, price fluctuations follow like exchange rates, contrary to what they teach in EMS nowadays. So I was like, okay, cool. And then when the price came out and I was right, I was like, you can borrow my EMS textbook when you need it. It's quite funny. And then he just doubled down on being an asshole, like complete and utter asshole. So yeah, I left it at that.
Shit, I don't even know how I stumbled onto that thread, but I laughed.
I had actually left it. I just replied to him, and Jeff saw it, and he like messaged me and laughed, and then left it. And then Glenn retweeted it later in the day, and that's where everyone started piling onto that tweet. And it was just like it's an interesting day.
So we can blame Turtleneck Gang Leader,
yes.
For this okay, but then the second part of the question. Are there any gaming books that you would recommend?
You can answer this as well.
I don't know if this means books about games or how to code games and make games, but if it's just books, if it's just books about games well, actually, I don't know. I could be wrong, but if it's just gaming books on like stories of games, I mean, we've spoken about Console Wars, which is a very fascinating look at how Sega took on Nintendo in the late 80s.
Is a series
90s.
out soon?
And there's actually there's a series. Is it out yet?
No, I think reviews have come out for it, which have all been pretty good, but I don't think it's out yet. Yeah.
So yeah, Console Wars, it's a great read because you'll find out just interesting tidbits of information, like the fact that we nearly had a Nintendo PlayStation. There's this alternate timeline where Nintendo and Sony were friends and they made a console together, and we only had the Nintendo PlayStation. But yeah, other than that,
they touch on it a little bit in that the series on Netflix, High Score. There's one episode which is Sony, Sega, and Nintendo, but it's like, I mean, having read Console Wars as well, it's like super brief compared to what the real story is. So yeah, I highly recommend that book. It's really good.
There's another book written by journalist Jason Schreier, who's a dude who often just leaks stuff and like reports on everything in the gaming industry, called Blood, Sweat and Pixels, which is eye-opening to especially for someone like me who's not in game development, it gave me an appreciation for how hard this industry is, and how it just reminded me that games are actual magic that shouldn't exist.
They're
but they do,
little
and it's
digital
wonderful.
miracles, every single one of them.
Yeah, like it's so this book is really just every chapter is a story about a game and like its development and how, what sort of trials and tribulations it went through. And there are some chapters in there that are actually very sad about games that were cancelled.
Yeah.
And you see like things can just turn very quickly, or you get really good redemption stories as well.
That book is really good because it strikes a good balance of, you know, being an entertaining read, but also still holding Shrai's like reporting. So it's not like a dramatization of what happened. It's like facts based off of tons of interviews he conducted, but in a way that I think is far more approachable to read, rather than like if that was put on like an article on Kotaku or something like that, you know, where he used to work.
Yeah.
So yeah, I chewed through that book because it was 100%. He's busy writing a second one.
I sincerely hope there's a chapter in the second one, and I think there might be for No Man's Sky. Because
I'd love to know the whole story of that.
That is a hell of a story. So,
yeah.
But I mean, just
those are good. I know just off the top of my head, there's one written by Walt Williams, who was the writer on Spec Ops: The Line, and more recently Battlefront 2. I think it's called Betting on Zero. Let me double check. But yeah, it's basically him talking about how games writing works in the industry.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, I'm writing Betting on Zero. No, that is not what it is.
You're going to gambling sites like, kill your odds for betting
Walt
on
Williams gaming book. Significant Zero. My bad. I got confused.
Okay. Close enough. You got the zero
significant zero. Here's the little blurb. From the award-winning video game writer behind Spec Ops: The Line comes an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at how today's blockbuster video games are made. Satirical musings in a college newspaper got him discharged from the Air Force. Walt Williams knew that his destiny in life was to be a writer. He just never thought he'd end up writing games, let alone working on some of the most successful franchises such as BioShock, Civilization, Borderlands, and Mafia.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, I think it's a different perspective because he's like talking about how games writing works.
Yeah,
and I've heard it's a really good, it's on my like read list. I haven't gotten to it yet, but I really want to. So, yeah.
Yep.
There's also one, the writer of Console Wars, Blake J. Harris, wrote a book about VR, yeah, basically about the rise of Oculus, called The History of the Future.
I actually have that book. I just haven't got into it yet.
I've heard it's very good as well. I haven't read it yet, so yeah.
Okay. Next question. We have a load of questions from Miguel. He says, question 1. For the past 2 months, thank you, Alessandro, for finding your upload groove so I get checkpoint chat at 6/7 a.m. It's perfect when I leave for work. Other podcasts are not ready yet by then, so checkpoint chat is the first thing I listen to on a Monday morning.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we have hit
I've stopped being
good
lazy.
Little groove here.
That was the groove.
Question 2. Well, that wasn't a question. It was just a thank you. It was a compliment 1. Question
Digital
1 now.
hug.
Any suggestions on removing stupidly small or unknown tiny objects out of your eye, such as an eyelash or something? I think I've had an eyelash. Here's a story. Many years ago, like let's say 3-4 years ago, Lenska dropped me off at my mom's place once, and she looked at me. She's like, "You have like an eyelash in your eye." I was like, "Oh shit!" Like I'll go look in the mirror now and I'll take it out, whatever. I went and I looked, and in the corner of my eye, there were, I'm not even joking, like 4 eyelashes clumped together, just sitting there. And I'm like, holy shit. And I think I used an earbud, if I'm not mistaken, to just like pull them out. And I don't know how that happened, but obviously over a period of time, eyelashes had just got behind my eye and they just resurfaced at some stage.
My God.
It's disgusting. But I think an earbud is what sorted me out. Oh, no, sorry, not an earbud. It was cotton wool.
Okay.
Just
terrifying.
So there you go.
Just slightly terrifying, but okay.
Slightly terrifying. There you go. What do you recommend?
I usually just keep eye drops around because that shit I just flush my eye if I get something in my eye. But let's be real, getting something in your eye is just one of the realities of life, and it's horrible.
It's part of life,
and it will happen, and you'll cry, and sometimes crying helps as well because water gets it out of the eye. It's great. So yeah, there's your solution. If you get something in your eye, just
go
cry.
for a swim. Just go. Question 3. Matthew is always concerned about the 2-hour marking. What happens when a podcast goes over 2 hours? Will Matthew have to retire his Afro wig once and for all?
When the podcast goes over 2 hours, the world slowly folds in on itself, and we become a black hole.
He says Matthew is actually an old school android that needs to be wound up every 2 hours. Otherwise he stops moving.
Lenska comes behind you with like a big winding stick and just like, shit, he's going flat.
No, it's more a thing of look, we could record forever. Like I have no issue. We just have to plan ahead. But it's more a thing of like, I don't know if everyone likes sitting through a 2-hour podcast. Like I know personally, if I like an hour and a half is my sweet spot. Anything less is fun, but if I'm listening to like a gaming podcast or something similar, that's like a nice balance for me. Anything longer, and I'm like, oh, it's a bit long, So it's not for any other reason other than I'm trying to spare you guys 30 minutes of ramblings.
For me, I love long podcasts. Like Giant Bomb was usually 2.5 hours every week, and I just find their banter really good. But also, like, I have shit to do on a Saturday, so yeah.
No, exactly, yeah.
I think 1.5 hours to 2 hours is a good sweet spot. I'm glad that we're not rushing things for an hour and a half. I don't feel we ever used to rush it. I just feel like we've got more comfortable with going over it. But I no way envision or plan to go over 2 hours. That's already it's long. Yeah.
It's long. Next question. Are South African PC gamers lucky for getting incorrect prices on Steam games which later get corrected?
Yes.
A short answer, yes. But he gives some context. Also super thankful that Steam doesn't refund the money to you when these corrections happen. Besides Horizon Zero Dawn PC Edition, the newest price revert victim is Mafia Definitive Edition. Matthew can read out the pictures I included to fill in the details. So it looks like the price of Mafia Definitive Edition now is 700 Rand. It looks like he bought it for
holy shit, Rand. That's huge. Damn.
That is a big...
I really would love to know how that happens. Because my assumption,
no clue,
or as far as I know, Steam has a tier list that kind of like differentiates regions based on their economic power. So like you'll have, third world country regions or struggling regions in terms of exchange rates that will have different pricing structures. But I don't understand why it comes in so cheap and then gets reverted, as if like a publisher realizes they made a mistake. Because it happened with Horizon Zero Dawn as well. So it's very difficult getting that information from local distributors because they usually don't share anything about that. But I would love to know like how that happens or why it happens. So if anyone has any idea, like don't tell me about your speculation. Like we can speculate as well as to why it happens. Like if you actually have like concrete knowledge as to why it happens or what happens, like I'd love to know.
Just tell us. Where's the formula? Next question. Now that the next gen pre-order day one is gone and semi-dusty, what did you guys decide on? Did Alessandra get both console disc drive editions but at a possibly large sacrifice? Did Matthew decide to wait, beckoning the return of the Afro retro gamer in the near future? Or did Matthew buy a PlayStation 5 with an incoming Xbox Series X flying in for free from dear Overlord Spencer? I do not get shit from my dear Overlord Will Spencer. So you pre-ordered the PS5.
I wanted the digital one, but that thing sold out so fast. So I thought, you know what, it's fine. $2,000 more. Yes, it's $2,000, but like it also gives me ease of mind if we ever get physical review stuff, whatever. So
that it's a silly thing, but that's also what's at the back of my mind. So I haven't ordered mine yet. Even if I wanted to, stock is just gone. Because I dilly-dallied. It's like, I've got money saved up to buy.
Your spreadsheet's very console, impressive.
I made it myself. But I'm also on the fence in that, look, I really want to play Demon's Souls. So look, I'm going to get a PlayStation 5. I don't see the need for an Xbox because I have a more than capable PC. And for all intents and purposes, current Xbox games and all future ones are coming to PC anyway. So I do not need an Xbox. So I have that luxury in that I can just buy the PlayStation then. While I really want to play Miles Morales and Demon's Souls, I'm also just like, it's not enough for me to want to rush out and buy the console.
Or you can play Miles Morales on your PS4.
I can play on my PS4. No, I want to play it on PS5. But I'm also like, I waited for my PS4 and I got a beautiful limited edition Metal Gear Solid 5 edition. Yeah. And I am curious to see like what will be their first. I don't know what like the grace period is, but obviously they don't release a limited edition for
I'd say
a while.
At least a year.
I think because of because of, they obviously need to make up enough stock.
Wouldn't be shocked
demand,
if you find
XYZ,
custom ones for like Horizon
factors.
or God of War when they come out.
Yeah. So it's like there's no game. While look, Demon's Souls is one. I'm like, I actually really want to play that, but there's nothing that's making me just pushing me over because I'm patient. Like I'll wait.
I feel like I got one primarily for work purposes. I feel I'm not going to say I don't want a PS5. That would just be a complete lie.
I don't want one.
But
I
definitely feel like, if I'm going to be reviewing games going forward, especially for a website like GameSpot, they will likely require like at least one next gen console. And like I have a PC, so the Xbox isn't a concern right now. So yeah, that's why I got the PS5.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I'm super excited to play Demon's Souls, but that is the only game at launch that is like an exclusive that I need a PS5 for. And that is also part of the reason why I didn't feel the need to get a Series X just yet, because there's nothing at launch on Series X that requires the Series X. And that will never be the case because Microsoft brings all their stuff to PC anyway. But at the same time, I mean, you play most of your games on monitors, correct? So I can tell you for a fact that trying to set up or still trying to connect a PC to a TV with all its fancy features like HDR and stuff like that is still a fucking nightmare. And it still does not work the way it should be. It does not work seamlessly. So eventually I'll probably get a Series X just for that ease of use, like legitimately, because I love PC gaming, but it is a fucking shit show with connecting to a TV, always.
But not only that, it's different. There's a different experience between sitting at your desk and then
I have a cable that runs from my PC to my TV, like to play stuff on there. But man, it's just like if something goes wrong, I have to get up and go to my desktop and like fix something, or like HDR on Windows is a nightmare to get calibrated correctly. It's just PC gaming and TVs still do not like each other. They're not as easy as they should be, and that's why consoles always be good. So yeah. I'll get a Series X eventually, but it's
maybe I'll just not buy anything and just get the Switch 2.
It's Pro.
Switch 1
Pro
2.
Switch.
Got it.
Just get a Pro Switch and a 3080. You said.
Oh my gosh. Question 6. You are dying.
That's not good.
There's no information on why you're dying, but we are curious on how Alessandro's imagination runs off the rails and attacks the planet like a Katamari. Who would be the last person you speak to for 90 minutes before walking into the big arcade beyond the sky?
For 90 minutes? 19. Oh, that's an arbitrary number.
Yeah. That's interesting you say that because he says, P.S. It's just a number, Matt. You don't overthink it. I said nothing.
It's a really arbitrary number, but okay. Who would I talk to?
I mean,
I don't know. I guess my family. God, I'm dying.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's either Lenska or my whole family.
Well, I guess Lenska is your
90
family.
90 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 20-minute goodbye. So that's, yeah. I mean, if I wasn't concerned about family, if I could speak to anyone, when I was dying. So, I mean, there's no point talking to someone to figure out how they made their millions because, like, well, you're dead. So, I would talk to Morgan Freeman. He is God, so he could tell me what's waiting on the other side.
You could narrate your way out.
Hey, you see, that's good.
closed his eyes that he went
Give
to
him
the
like a
great big
15-minute
arcade
brief. Give him time to like rehearse, and then he just talks you out of life. That's great. That's a great idea.
Question 7. Alessandro, is Matthew okay? Has he started to sweat since it's close to the bewitching second hour?
He is starting to sweat. Even I'm starting to sweat. I'm watching the time tick by.
We're getting close. We've got 3 questions left. We can do this. Alessandro, which of the following would you consider to be the worst case scenario? Number 1, your Journey figurine order is cancelled and you got refunded. Number 2, Darren calls to say in a deep, deep Bale voice, I'm out of pickles and ham. Whatever shall I do? Question 3. Matthew turns out to be Lenska in an afro wig and heavy makeup. Matthew died months ago.
I mean...
Number 4. Wait, hang on. Your door is suddenly kicked open to reveal a wild cello with a large Debonnaise box with an odd assortment of carp stickers on it.
An odd assortment of what stickers?
Of like carp stickers, I suppose.
Stickers,
Cape stickers.
What is the worst case scenario out of all of those? Journey figurine being cancelled.
Oh, I'm dead. But the worst case scenario.
Listen,
is
if you're
Journey.
dead and Lenska's pretending to be you, she's doing a phenomenal job. So, A+.
She's doing a great job. So, yeah, you have to ask yourself, how is she impersonating me and walking around?
It is quite
impressive.
impressive.
When you talk to the two of us.
Cello arriving here with a pizza. I mean, it is debonair, so it's not fantastic, but it's free food, and I could kick him out afterwards, so it's fine.
Pizza, man. It's fine. Question 9. Is Alessandro physically going to work soon since his bosses prefer to see bodies in the office instead of an empty office? What is happening?
I don't know. There's no word on yet when we'll go back to the office, but I suspect as soon as it's feasible, it will happen. And
well, our office, they've basically said like we're going to carry on as we are for now, but in future, and what I'm really grateful for, even beyond COVID, my one CEO said that it's like this period has taught them a lot, and that they will probably adopt a flexible work from home model. Which
that's what I want to maybe required to go into the office 2 times a week, and the rest you work at home. Yeah, I'd love that. Like, because I do think there's value in seeing people.
For sure,
but like not having to be at the office if you don't have to be, like, super cool. Yeah.
How much money have you saved on
so much
transport?
Money. I was spending like 600 rand a week on petrol.
So much cash money.
So
exactly. Now, I mean, that's $2.5 grand just
every month.
Every month
just
that you
like
save
pocketed.
for 6 months.
So yeah. I mean, if I took my petrol fund and put it into a fund just for consoles, I could buy a new console by now.
You could buy one and then do it another 6 months and buy the other.
Exactly.
Why not? And then last question, Alessandro, how would you convince Matthew to do a 3-hour podcast? Would it be in terms of money, Twitch vouchers, food services?
The only way we'd do that is
Betty
if we were like
Blackmail?
streaming a game at the same time or something.
I have no issue doing long segments. It's just something we'd have to
3 hours is a long time. You don't
Like,
just
that's
off
the
the
only-
cuff 3 hours.
Yeah. I mean, what are we on now? It's 2 hours. We can go for an hour. What do you want to talk about?
Yeah, let's talk about Bethesda and Microsoft for another hour.
Let's talk for another hour.
Yeah, we could probably do that. Yeah.
And that is all the questions.
Thank you so much to everyone who sent in a question. checkpointchatpodcast@gmail.com as always, or Checkpoint Chat on all the social platforms. You don't need to wait for Matty to throw up that question. Just fucking go it. Just do it. Slide into the DMs.
Did I tell you? I did not put up a question on Facebook.
Oh my God, Matthew!
Because yesterday was just wild. I put up on Instagram, which is fun, but good lord.
I mean, it's not like we're struggling anyway.
The last few weeks have just been busy. Yeah.
But that has been episode 118 of Checkpoint Chat. We hope you've all enjoyed your weekly dose of venting and banter. As who was it? I think Malesh. He was like, "We listened to your venting for 2 hours every week." I was like, "Oh, so I appreciate you."
Oh, nice, man. It's so nice.
But yes, we are fast approaching episode 120.
That's the episode. 120 Dalmatians. Can you believe it? Sure. We'll be back next week with stuff, more games.
Yeah, we'll see who Microsoft buys in the next week.
No, who you betting on? Holy shit! Maybe Sony surprises us. Is like, yeah, we bought out
Konami.
Who's the studio that could buy it? We bought out Konami. Oh my gosh, can you imagine? Metal Gear Solid.
There was
1
that
remake
rumor
is
that
happening.
Microsoft was going to announce the purchase of Sega, and that never happened. So, who knows?
I
Who
love
knows?
that rumor, but who knows?
We'll see next week.
Okay, we're done.
The next episode of Checkpoint Chat. Thank you so much for listening. Okay, bye.